you're all doing well. Welcome back to the channel. As you know, this episode's brought to you in association with betting.co.uk. And I'm back with a very exciting episode for today, because as you can see, I'm joined by none other than two-time Cheltenham Festival winning trainer, Jamie Snowden. Jamie, welcome to the channel. Thanks for doing this. How are you today?
Hi, Jay. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, really well. Thank you very much. Looking forward to the season ahead.
Very much, very much. Thanks for taking the time out to discuss. I've been really excited to get stuck in with today's video. Now, before we go on to some of the runners for this season, Jamie, of course, it's been a really good year for you and the team last year. Record-breaking one, in fact, for you all at Folly House. How's the mood in the camp this time of year? You must all be really excited with some of the candidates you've got to go to war with this season.
Yeah, Joe, I as you say, last season and actually the last few seasons have all been great, but it's really culminated in what was obviously a record-breaking season last year, and you know, 6 big winners from start to finish, and you know, a couple of graded winners in the Cheltenham Festival. It was brilliant. It was a phenomenal season. We just got to back it up and repeat the dose again this time, which certainly won't be easy, but we're very much looking forward to it.
Absolutely. I mean, you seem to have started the season quite well as well. You've already got 11 winners on the board. Has the softer ground that we've sort of had this year played a part in that as well, enabling you to get your horses out a little bit earlier than usual?
Yeah, I suppose we've only had about really 10 summer jumpers. We had a few that we ran in early May, back end of last season, as it were. But I think we've only really had 10 core summer jumpers, and yeah, they've had their own. Obviously, Guinness Affair, winning four novice races on the bounce was pretty good. And Bucco's boys won a couple, and Arbonne's won a couple. So yeah, listen, 11 winners on the board is great. But certainly, you know, on the back of last season, most people have been reinvesting in proper winter horses. So there should certainly be a lot more in the team for the winter.
That's brilliant. Talking of Guinness Affair, I did see on your Twitter the other day he was having a nice stroll through Lambourne River after obviously racking up 4 wins. It was great to see him. It really was. But Jamie, if we go on to then some of your runners for this season, if we wouldn't mind starting with Garlaw. Of course, he's a 7-year-old. He's got an official rating of 152. He won the 2022 Paddy Power for you in great style, and then finished 5th in the Ryanair as well, only 9 lengths behind Embois LN, despite probably making a couple of little mistakes along the way. But that does sort of suggest to me that there's still a little bit more to come from his mark of 152. You must have some quite big aspirations for him this coming season.
Yeah, so obviously last year he was coming back from an injury. He was a very good novice chaser the season before, winning the Rising Stars at Wincanton and placed in the Henry VIII and the Pendle, but picked up an injury on the back of that. 18 months off. He was 3rd in the Old Rowan, and that set him up nicely for the Paddy Power. That was, you know, an incredible day and kind of what we had sort of set the season around. Going forward from that, it was his season was good. He actually, on figures, he progressed. He ran to a better level of form in the Skybet Chase when he fell at the last, when he probably would have won, could have won, should have won. And then actually, as you say, the Ryanair was probably a career best. But his jumping all of last season, you know, there was a few little ifs. He didn't jump fluently really last season. I think the stepping up to 3 miles is certainly, you know, going to help him. Now, I think we'll start off in the West Yorkshire Hurdle, I should imagine, up at Wetherby, and have an entry in the Hennessy or the Coral Cup this time round. You know, I'm not averse. You know, if the West Yorkshire Hurdle actually, you know, it was a springboard to the Hennessy, but you know, if he performs with credit over hurdles, then there's every reason that, you know, we could perhaps stay over hurdles this season as well. So, you know, plans are very much fluid. The set plan is the West Yorkshire Hurdle, followed by the Hennessy, the Coral Cup. But we're not ruling out staying over hurdles if it also pans out that way.
Have you got any aspirations of Cheltenham in mind at this stage? Obviously, you said that he might be staying over hurdles. Would that mean you're potentially looking at something like the World Stayers Hurdle? He certainly seems like he's that sort of calibre of horse now that he can go and mix it with all of the big guns after what he's done for you last season. Is that something you'd consider?
Yeah, I think, as you rightly said when you started the conversation about him, 152 is a mark that, you know, perhaps stepping up in trip is workable. So, you know, we've got to consider the Coral Cup. However, you know, we've seen plenty of good horses down the line that have switched back from chasing to go hurdling and excelled in the staying hurdle division. So, if he did take to that, and if it did look a route to go, then certainly it's something that we will consider.
Certainly stays well enough, doesn't he? Definitely a nice traveller as well. I'll be very excited to see him go down that route, and I'm going to obviously keep my eye on him moving forward. Absolutely. So that brings me on to one of my favourite horses in training, actually, Jamie, across the whole of the UK, and that's Datsalrightgino. Of course, he's been brilliant for yourself so far. He's a 7-year-old off 149 at the moment. Done really well for you over fences and seemingly progressed for the step up in trip, despite, by my eye, actually looking like quite a speedy horse nonetheless. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, he never won a bumper. He was second in 3 bumpers. I couldn't really believe it because he's a very good workhorse, but he's quite a burly individual. He takes every single bit of graft you give him. He was a good novice hurdler. He won at Cheltenham, but he really excelled over fences last year, and he improved 20 pounds. I think it was 129. I think off the start of last season, finished off 149, winning that Grade 2 up at Ayr. Step up in trip from 2 to 2.5 definitely helped him. Obviously, he started favourite at Cheltenham for the plate, but it didn't really go his way. I do think he's going to go up in trip to 3 miles at some point this season. We'll start off in the Old Roan Chase up at Aintree, and then he'll have an entry both in the Paddy Power and the Hennessy as well. So there's also the Newcastle race, the rehearsal chase up at Newcastle, 2 miles 7 up there on the Hennessy weekend. So we'll definitely start off over 2.5, as I say, probably in the Old Roan Chase, and then we'll on the back of that consider whether we have a crack at the Paddy Power again this time round with him, or whether we go for the Hennessy.
It'd be interesting because he'd be then taking the same path of obviously Garlaw, who did it with really well last year. And like you said, when we saw him at Ayr win that Grade 2 at the end of the season, he seriously did, he seemed to put his best foot forward that day. We really saw what he's made of. Now, with him going off favourite for the plate at Cheltenham, is it possible that he's a good ground horse, or does he handle soft, but he just needs good to be seen to best effect, or am I just off the mark with that one completely?
No, I think you're bang on the mark. Obviously, it was a very dry winter last year, and I think he benefited from the dry winter. On the softer ground, he has disappointed on a couple of occasions at Kelso in a Grade 2 over hurdles, and also at the festival in the plate when it rained that day. It obviously suited you wear it well. It didn't really suit him. So I do think he is probably better on nicer ground. But listen, he's off 149. He's got to step forward again, and hopefully we can pick and choose. But it may be that he does want the nicer ground.
Is that something you're going to bear in mind with him regarding his targets? Then, if you've got good ground for Cheltenham for the Paddy Power, you potentially lean that way and then skip the Hennessy, and the same vice versa if that were to happen.
Exactly. But I think on the back of our first run in the Old Roan Chase, we'll get more of an indication of where his season's going. But I'm quite sure he does want to go up and trip at some point this season, whether it's in December, November, December, or whether it's in the spring, remains to be seen.
Okay, excellent, lovely. Well, that brings us on to You Wear It Well then, Jamie. Smashing 6-year-old mare. She was superb in the Mares Novice Hurdle, won at 16-1, and actually went under the radar a little bit because she had some seriously good form in the book from the previous year as well. Gives you your second Cheltenham Festival winner. Before we look ahead to the season coming, that must have gave you and the team so much joy to see that and win. And I remember you saying in your interview you forgot how hard it was to win these Cheltenham races, but it was just superb to see her come up the hill ahead of the Mullins runners, the de Bromhead runners, and do it so well. She seemed to actually pull away and find a little bit more at the end as well. You must have been impressed with how she managed to get the job done in the end there.
Yeah, it was obviously a dream come true. She's a very talented mare, and obviously progressed all the way through last season. She ran a cracking race in the Challow when she was second, against Paul Nichols's horse, who is obviously a pretty smart individual as well. So she's a lovely mare, handles a bit of cuss in the ground, and that day at Cheltenham was brilliant. The only thing that we were hoping coming back to 2 miles was that it was going to be soft ground. So the rain was definitely in her favour on the day. I think she started about 8-1 in the morning and drifted out to 16-1 before the off, which I don't know how betting works, but it was only going to play to her strengths as opposed to inconvenience her. And It was a brilliant day, great, and Chips is such a wonderful supporter of our yard, and great that we could have another winner at the festival for him.
She definitely looks like there's a lot more to come as well, because even when she finished second to Hermes Alem, the nickel torch you're talking about, didn't she have to carry a penalty that day in the Challow as well and still managed to finish so close? Is that right?
No, she didn't carry a penalty in the Challow. She had won 2 novices before that, but she carried a penalty at the festival. So she won a Grade 2 Jane Seymour at Sandown, and yeah, the Grade 2 is the mare's novice at the festival is a Grade 2. You know, perhaps there's an argument it should be a Grade 1, because she ended up carrying a Grade 2 penalty against some pretty smart mares that day. So it was a fair performance to go and do that and win pretty nicely. She was a bit over the top at Aintree when we ran her. She probably had a long enough season, and she was a bit over the top at Aintree. But she's come back in. She's big. She's strong. You know, we've got a sister here as well, and who's turned up. She's a 4-year-old. She turned up over the summer, and she's a lovely individual, but a slight framed filly, and it reminds me of actually when You Wear It Well turned up. She was a very slight framed filly as well, but she's really developed and strengthened over the last couple of years, and yeah, she's an absolute monster now.
Looking forward to that one for sure. I mean, You Wear It Well's quite big herself. Is that something that instantly makes you think you may take her down the chasing route? I mean, your options must be wide open with her at the moment, because she's only been beaten 3 times. One was on her debut, the second was in the Challow, and then of course at Aintree after a really long season. But she's got so much scope for improvement. Have you scored her at home yet? Has she seen a fence herself?
Yeah, we scored her over a fence in the spring before we turned her out, just to I don't know, see if she would jump a fence, and yes, she was brilliant. She jumped really well. She's got bags of escape, so we can definitely go chasing. I think that the mare's program over hurdles is pretty good, and we might just see how high we can go over hurdles first before going chasing at a later date. As you say, you know, she's still only a young horse, and I think there's potential to go chasing, you know, the season after if needed. So I think we're gonna stick over hurdles this year. Probably start out at Wetherby, I should imagine, in that listed race, and then really it all sort of leads itself. It's Sandown, Warwick, and then Cheltenham. So yeah, all roads will lead to Cheltenham in March.
What I like about her as well, Jamie, she's proven over the trip already. If you have a look at the betting for the mare's hurdle as well, there's a lot of these that even the likes of Lossiemouth and Gala Marceau, they're 2-mile winners. They haven't done the 2-mile 4 yet. She seems to be doing the best work at the end of her races, stays really nicely, and I really do hope, obviously, you have a good season with her. She's a very, very nice one to go forward with, that's for sure. Okay, so another 6-year-old owned by the GD Partnership as well from Datsalrightgino. We've got Colonel Harry, who's by Sirocco. Very likeable type. He was 4th in the Tolworth, 2nd in the Grade 2 at Sandown. Actually ahead of a horse called Farinilli, who went on to win the Grade 1 Novices Chase at Punchestown. So again, I think you've got a really good horse to go forward with here, Jamie. How's he been at home? You must have some pretty decent aspirations with him now as well. 132 over hurdles is his official rating. He's got, again, loads of options. Is he going to go chasing perhaps?
Yeah, he's definitely going to go chasing. He's got plenty of size and scope. He's a lovely individual. He obviously won a point-to-point before coming to us. And last year he really developed into a proper hurdler. 2 miles and soft ground seems to be exactly where he wants to be. That race at Kelso, where he's 2nd in that Grade 2, it was a cracking run. That was 2 mile 2 that day, and I'm not sure he quite saw out the final sort of 100 yards really. It definitely 2 miles on soft ground seems to be where his strength lies. So yeah, I would have thought we'll start him off in a novice handicap off 132, and listen, we've got half an eye if things go okay at the Henry VIII.
Oh, well, that'd be a nice race for him to get going through, that's for sure. He's definitely got some, again, sort of reminds me of Gino. He's just got that scope for improvement. You almost know that there's more to come. I guess it's literally just a case of watching him progress throughout the season. Just one thing I want to ask about his trip. You said he's a 2-miler. Is there potential that he could go up in trip like Gino, though, as well? I know you said he looks an out-and-out 2-miler and he didn't quite get the 2 mile 2, but with another year on his side now, could he actually step up a little bit in time? I mean, he's still only 6, of course.
Yeah, I think in time he could do for sure. As I say, he's an Irish point-to-point winner, so there is a chance that he can go up and trip as well. But I think whilst he's looking like 2 miles on soft ground as his trip, I think we'll do that. as you know, with chasing, if you can get into a good rhythm over 2 miles, and he seems to set a decent gallop, that seems to be his way. He's got a high cruising speed. So if he can jump as well as he travels, he can hopefully put a few horses in trouble behind him. And yeah, I think we'll stick at 2 miles on soft ground for the moment.
Really looking forward to him, very much so. Now, I've got a couple of horses to have a look at from the Value Racing Club. The first one we've already sort of briefly mentioned at the beginning, Guinness Affair, who has just been a revelation. He had 600 odd days off the course, wind surgery, finished third on his debut, but then he's just gone off and won 4 since. He's such an honest type, and you've got to wonder when the handicapper's going to be able to catch up with him, because even though he ran that 4-runner race last week, he didn't win by a massive margin, but he was always in command at the end. And I get the feeling even he himself was holding a little bit more back and probably a bit of a better horse than what we've seen so far.
Yeah, he's a legend of a horse. He's won 7 of his 10 starts.
Yeah.
The 3 times he's been beaten, once on debut, once when he got injured, and once when he was coming back from injury. So yeah, all he does is win, which is brilliant. He's a legend. He's only gone up a couple of pounds for that win at Stratford the other day, so he's 129. Hopefully there's a few, bit more to come from him. He was quite a buzzy, keen horse in his younger days, but he seems to be settling and relaxing a lot better now. And he's been doing his winning over 2, but I should imagine we'll be going up in trip at some point as well. I've got half an eye that if he continues to progress, and if he were to go and win his next start, then you might chuck him in something like the Rising Stars at Wincanton in November if it was good ground. He's a lovely horse, and hopefully he can continue to progress. As you say, he's picked up an injury in the past, so we'll keep our fingers crossed that doesn't rear its ugly head again. And if it doesn't, then hopefully there's more to come from him as well.
Is it quite a serious injury he had? Because I know he was off the track for quite some time. I mean, is it something that's
yeah, he had sorry, Jay. Yeah, he had a tendon injury, and so we just gave him plenty of time.
Okay, fine, cool. Well, he's come back and he's thriving, isn't he? So may that continue as well, Jamie. The other one of the Value Racing Club runners, then we have See the Clouds, a really nice 6-year-old. Again, I just really seem to like your horse. They're very honest types. They really do seem to try hard for their jockey as well. Real team player horses, if you like. He won nicely off 109 at Worcester at the end of August. He was just beaten neck the time before over course and distance. What are your plans with him going forward? Because he seems like one that could step up again, similar to Guinness Affair. I think there's maybe a little bit more still to come from him.
Yeah, he could. He's by See the Moon, who I think is a cracking sire actually, and a nice jumping stallion. But yeah, he's a lovely little horse. Very honest. James Caldwell does very well with buying these horses in the Value Racing Club, and they tend to win. And we go about and campaign them honestly in order to win as many races as we possibly can on our path. Yeah, hopefully he can continue to progress up the handicap, and we'll see whether he ends up chasing or not. Remains to be seen. As I say, he lacks a little bit of size, but he jumps well, and he's a summer horse. So we'll continue with him through the autumn, chuck him away for the winter, and see where we are. If we do go chasing in the spring, we'll play it by ear.
Great, awesome, great to see. Now, there's an interesting one that you've just now got in your care, and I don't know how much you can tell us about him yet, because I don't even know if he's at your yard yet, but you've got Reach for the Moon now for His Majesty the King. A lovely 4-year-old. Of course, he was at one point the Derby favourite as well. First of all, how did you come about getting him, Jamie? I know you've got some sort of connection to the royal family through the military. Is that right to say?
Yeah, so I was very lucky when I was riding as an amateur. I obviously rode a few times to the Queen. I had 4 winners for her, which was incredible. And then since I started training, the Duchess of Cornwall, the now present Queen, I had a lovely horse called Pacify with us, who won 4-5 on the bounce, second in a Grade 2 at Cheltenham, won a listed race at Kempton, and we've had several for her over the years. And obviously, when the late Queen died, the King and the Queen inherited the late Queen's sort of bloodstock, a few store horses, and they've sent us some of those. We've got Climbing Here, who was second over hurdles at Stratford on his debut and over hurdling debut, and 4th the other day. He'll go novice handicap chasing now. And then Schematic is another young horse that hasn't run. And they got a few more in the pipeline coming along, a few of those the horses that the late Queen bred. And Reach for the Moon's obviously been a very, very good flat horse, second at Royal Ascot and the Hampton Court, and as you say, one-time Derby favourite. He obviously has picked up a bit of an injury and had time off. He came back on the flat and didn't quite perform to the same level on the flat. So he's probably done his time on the flat, and the chat was that we could see whether he would jump a hurdle. So he went down to Henrietta Knights from John Gosden's, learned to jump down there, and he jumps really nicely. So he's just gone back to Sandringham for a little break, and then he'll come to us and go novice hurdling. So hugely exciting to have a horse that was rated as high as 114 going hurdling.
Any idea where he'll start, or not sure at this point, just because you haven't necessarily had him in the flesh as of yet? Or
exactly that, Joe. Yeah, he's back at Sandringham. When he turns up to us, he's going to have a holiday there and then do a bit of trotting for a month or so before he comes to us ready to start cantering. So yeah, when he arrives, we'll canter away, get him working, get him schooling, and see where we go from there.
We'll get him in the trackers for now then, Jamie, and we'll keep an eye on those entries for him. Right, just two more to go then, Jamie. One of them is an unraced filly that you've got who's entered at Worcester on Monday, walking it off. One of these walk in the park fillies who I'm absolutely obsessed with. I'd just like to know a little bit about how she is. What does she show you at home? And I suppose what you're expecting to see from her at Worcester on Monday if she goes.
Thanks, Joe. Yeah, so she's being leased by the Chasing Gold Partnership. She's owned by a chap in Ireland who sent across. Obviously, we get quite a few mares sent to us that are then leased out to various clubs and syndicates, and this is one such. She's out of a mare called Vast Consumption, who was a Grade 2 winner in Ireland. A nice family. She goes nicely. Should just be a little bit thick of a wind. So yeah, we'll start her off gently at Worcester, see how we get on, and see where we go from there.
Interesting. Really look forward to seeing her. Big fan of these walk in the parks. Is she quite a big filly because of the walk in the park, or?
She's quite tall. We had her in training last season. She was quite little and quite weak last season, so we never managed to run her. Quite a buzzy filly, as I say, a little bit thick in the wind as well. So we gave her a bit of time off through the summer, brought her back in. She's grown. She's quite tall. She's quite leggy. She's still got a bit of furnishing to do. And yeah, I hope the wind doesn't catch her out. But we'll see how she goes and work our way from there.
Excellent, lovely. Definitely look forward to seeing how she goes on through the season. Final one then, Jamie. Another new purchase, this one again. So I'm not totally sure how much you can tell us about him at the moment. You've got a 3-year-old called Tourneo who come from Jean-Claude Rouget over in France. Second twice in both of his runs over there. Is he with you at Folly House now, or is he one that you're still waiting on?
Yeah, no, he's coming. I bought him at Arcana in July. He'd run 6 times on the flat. He'd won his maiden, and then he was second a couple of times in handicaps. He's second last 3 times actually. Really, really lovely horse. Proper, nice, big, strapping individual. Plenty of scope, plenty of range. He looks like he's going to jump hurdles well. Yeah, we gelded him when we got him over here and turned him out for a holiday. So he's just come back in. He's trotting away. He looks great, and yeah, he'll obviously go juvenile hurdling.
Excellent. Looking forward to that one as well. I guess then one final question then, Jamie. Have you got a dark horse for us to follow? Just one that we can have a bit of fun with. You've got loads of those with Guinness Affair, See the Clouds. Bit of a dark horse for my viewers to follow for this season. Not necessarily a world beater, just one that you think we could have a good bit of fun with tracking throughout the season.
Yeah, so I would probably put up. I'll put up 3 for you there, Joe.
Please.
Just a low battery, but yeah, can you hear me okay?
And yeah, I've got you, Jamie. I've got you.
Yeah, I'll put up 3 for you. I'll put up a novice handicap chaser, a horse called Passing Well. He won 2 novice hurdles last year. He was 4th in the Grade 1, the Challow hurdle when you wear it well was 2nd. Jumps fences really well, so he's off a mark of 123, and I think he can really progress over fences. A novice hurdler I'll put up is Roger Pole. He won 2 bumpers last year. He's from a lovely family. We trained his brother at Drastos, who won 8 races for us, and Manella Crooners, his other brother, his full brother, by Shantou as well. So Roger Pole won 2 bumpers for us last year. He'll go novice hurdling. could be quite smart. And then a bumper horse or a young horse, unraced horse. La Marquise is a French horse. She's by Bemek Duel, who's a new French sire by Marteline. He was a Grade 1 winner himself. This mare, she's out of a pivotal winning mare. She's a sister, should I say, to Mr. Policeman, who Willie Mullins has got won a couple of times.
Isn't he now? Yeah.
Yeah. So she's called La Marquise, and she's unraced 3-year-old. So there we go.
Brilliant, Jamie. Thanks for that. That's 3 brilliant horses to put in the tracker. Got a bit of bonus ones there for you. I thought we were going to struggle just to get the one out of you. It's that question everyone likes to ask the trainer. Let's get through. That's brilliant. Thank you very much indeed. Well, Jamie, that brings us to the end of the stable tour. Look, I just want to thank you again, obviously, for joining me on the channel. I know it's a really busy time for you and the team with the season ahead. It's great to see everything's going well for you. Like you said, you've had 2 seriously good seasons. So I guess you're going to be aiming big again this year, and you've got some really good horses to take to battle as well. So I do really appreciate that, Jamie. And obviously all the best to everyone back at Folly House as well. I will put Jamie's links in the description below to jamiesnowdenracing.co.uk, but also to Jamie's Twitter as well. Because I noticed you do all of your blogs there as well, Jamie. I've been having a really good look through. It's a really good website. So I definitely advise everyone to go over and take a look at Jamie's website there. Jamie, thanks so much for your time. Really do obviously hope you the best this season. And thanks for coming on.
Great stuff. Well, Joe, thanks for having me on, and lovely to be on your show. And fingers crossed, we'll catch up at the races.
Been a pleasure. Thanks a bunch, Jamie. I do appreciate it, and we'll see you all soon. Bye, Jamie.
All the best. Take care.